Okay, not very many people are here from the last potluck, but I want to talk again about about pineapple.
About what?
Pineapple. Getting rid of warts and moles and tumors. Rubbing the pineapple on the skin or over a tumor helps dissolve it. You can only use it maybe every 4 days, though, sometimes 5 days. It will cause breakouts if you have it more often than that. And on the days that you don't use it, it's a good idea to rub either bone marrow or butter or a combination of bone marrow and butter onto the skin. Now, I don't know how many of you remember, if you look at my photograph on the back of the recipe book. Does anybody have the recipe book here?
Sure.
If you look on the back of it, you see all the freckles. Oh, that's the earlier one. I've got one that shows the later one, yeah. Anyway, it shows all the freckles that I have, so I usually maintain a high tan, so all the marks didn't show on my face, all the huge freckles and so-called aging spots that they call maybe liver spots. So when I started applying pineapple on my skin, it started neutralizing them within 24 hours by 80%. And I started using it on a big mold that I had here that started getting inflamed, put it on there and started peeling away a little time. Vinegar will do that also, but not as quickly.
What will?
Vinegar,
Okay.
raw and pasteurized apple cider vinegar, will also remove warts and moles in the same way, but it won't change the coloration like the pineapple will. But you have to be careful. Again, I did another experiment trying to do the pineapple every 3 days instead of 4 days, and you can see I've got a little rash, a little bit of a red rash. So I have to keep my cycle to 4 days. Some people have to keep theirs to 5 days, or even 6 days or 7 days. That you have to experiment with if you want to. It will also clear up a lot of other imperfections in the skin. I had 2 very large moles here that are down by 60%, and I've only done it, I do it when I think about it. Maybe once every 3 months I'll start applying it for a couple of weeks, and then I forget and don't do it, So, but I do it as far as experimentation. But it does reduce moles, warts, all kinds of, and I used to have a ton. See these little freckles on my hand and all over my body. I had to just cover. And since I used the pineapple on those areas, it's reduced them. And I've only used it probably 5 times on my body, not just my face and neck. And it's reduced it by over 50%. Even when I get sunshine, they don't seem to come back anymore as they used to. So that's something new I've been experimenting with, and works nicely. Also helps get rid of wrinkles.
You just leave it on. You don't wash it off.
No, I don't wash it off. I leave it on for a good 24 hours.
You just rubbing it on your skin?
Yeah, not hard. You don't rub hard. You just put it on and let it absorb. Now sometimes some people's skin will sting. At that point, then it's a good idea to get some Perrier or Gerolsteiner or some sparkling mineral water, dampen a cloth and wipe off any excess because you've got so much on already that's eating through and affecting your healthy cells. Normally, if you only apply it once every 4 to 5 days, the pineapple will affect dead cells, help dissolve dead cells in your skin and make your skin younger. Old skin is the body collecting dead cells. And they sag because they have no resilience. They are not alive. There's nothing energetic about them, so they sag. They can't suspend anything because they're not alive. They have no muscle tissue involved. So if it starts burning your skin, that means you've got so much on that it's affecting your live cells, or that your live cells do not have enough fat to protect themselves from the bromelain and other nutrients from the other nutrients in the pineapple. So wipe it off. Make sure you use bone marrow or butter on the other days to make sure those cells that are alive absorb enough fats so that when you apply the pineapple, it doesn't eat into them. They have a protection. Okay? So we're going to get started because I can see there's 2 people here. So we'll get started on Q&A. So we'll start with this young lady. Do you have a question?
I don't, actually.
Okay, if you think of one, then we'll come back to
I
you.
asked
Okay.
you already.
Okay. All right. Do you have a question?
Yeah, you know when you take those hot baths so that you perspire and detox, are you supposed to like take a shower after that to wash the salt off and all that stuff?
I don't, but I definitely, dry myself. But usually the nutrients that are in bath water, you've got the milk, you've got the coconut cream. If you've used the coconut cream, you've got the sea salt or Epsom salt and the raw and pasteurized apple cider vinegar. Those are all nutrifying for the skin, and your skin can absorb some of that and eat it. So it's good to leave some of it on.
So the salt won't dry out your skin.
You don't use enough salt in it. If you're only using 2 tablespoons of sun-dried sea salt in a bath, that's not enough salt to do anything other than neutralize some of the poisons in the water. If some people use Epsom salt, if they're using, a cup or 2, it's still not going to be a problem. But if you're using, let's say, a half to 3/4 of a cup of sea salt, that may be too much.
Now, with the pineapple that you were talking about, do you think that people who have more melanin in their skin are less apt to get a reaction than somebody who's more fair complexion?
No. Depends upon the individual. I've had both react to it if they put it on too often. Okay. Do you have a question?
Well, I'm commuting a lot, hundreds of miles a week now, and I heard you had something to keep the EMFs that come from the floorboard of the car. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yes, I invented a pillow, but what I do is make it. I don't make them. I tell people how to make them if they want to make them. And you just take a embroidery stitching, you stitch through that, and it's the framework. And you take inch-size magnets, circular magnets, and you have 3 concentric circles. And so the center one will probably be about this big, maybe 3.5 inches in diameter, and then the next one is about 6, and the next one's about 9 to 10. And you're talking about a 16-inch pillow. And each one you do south and north magnetics. So each one is, and they're about an inch in between, space in between each one. So that goes all around the circle. So north, south, north, south, north, south, all the way around the circle, and then the concentric circles inside are the same. Then you take, a small down pillows, thin down pillows, put them on either side, and then stick that inside a pillow cover, and then zip it up, and then sit on that. And what that does is that draws the electromagnetic fields out of your body and out of the floor. Because I have a Prius, and they're electrical cars, so they have a lot of magnetics. However, any of your Jaguars, your high-end cars, have the highest electromagnetic fields, and they are the worst. So anybody who has a high electromagnetic field should have some kind of barrier. Now, I've seen and experimented with lots of other so-called EMF detractors or absorbers. None of them work. Anytime I went over 150 miles in my Prius, the back, especially the right leg, working the pedals, would get achy in the thigh here and work down the leg by the end of the trip. When I made that pillow, that magnetic pad that I use as a pillow, never happens. And I've driven up to 2,000 miles without any ill effect, no sensation in my legs. Okay? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering when you're about to do something more physical, like going on a long run or going to exercise, maybe stationary, maybe not. I was wondering at what amount of food should you eat at what amount of time before or after?
Well, it depends upon what you do, what activity you're doing. If you're doing a high-end activity, let's say you're going to play soccer right away, it's a good idea to eat about no sooner than 20 minutes before you're going to play. Should be finished with your meal then. You can sip. Now, my athletes, you take Walker Kierlin, the number one tennis player, high school tennis player. He had asthma when they first brought him to me at 8 years old. And when we were fighting the county about our raw milk, and we had lost it, and he gave up and gave testimony. Here's this little sweet, little raspy voiced kid. Now he's the number one high school champion in the United States because of, eating right and the raw milk and everything. And then the number one female athlete is also on the diet, Valerie Mysick. So they're all on the diet. Now when they go to work out and do their sport, they have what I call a sport drink. And that's usually a cup of tomato puree, a cup of cucumber puree, a cup of whey, a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 to 2 teaspoons of lime juice, 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of honey, and 2 tablespoons of dairy cream, and usually 2 to 3 eggs. So they blend that together and they will sip on that. Now it only makes a quart, and their competition will sit there and go through sometimes 2 gallons in 5 hours. My athletes go through only that quart in that time, and they don't get weak and tired. The more water you drink, the more you dilute your nutrients in your body, and the more it dehydrates you. So their competition breaks down. They don't break down because they don't drink water. They drink all the water they get is, when you make that mixture, milk itself is 86% water. All fruit is 92% water. That is water that's bound in enzymes and ions and vitamins and all the nutrients that deliver the water for proper absorption in the cells. If you drink water without nutrients, the cells can't absorb it. So what happens is it dilutes everything and dries the body out instead of...
Seltzer water?
Pardon?
Seltzer water included?
Even sparkling mineral water. But I like the sparkling mineral water for some people because it is a hydrogen peroxide effect and helps break down some heavy toxins in the body. Now, I've consumed probably 1 ounce of water in 10 days. And that's only because I thought I needed it, not because I need it. Because you need some water because it's a solvent. When it rains, it dissolves rock, plants eat. So water is a solvent. It is not a nutrient. So eating water that's bound with lots of nutrients is absorbable and completely utilizable in the cells. People who gulp, you saw me sipping my milk. I sip everything. If you gulp, a lot of almost 90% of the H2O goes to the kidneys. So you've diluted the mucous membranes in your alimentary canal and the kidney and the bladder and the urethra. You have all kinds of repercussions by gulping because your water will separate even from good food. So maybe 60-70% of it will go to the kidneys. So that means that maybe a third or a fourth of your cells are going to be water deficient, the proper water. So always sip, don't gulp anything. And if you can...
Including food. You're talking about food too, not just the liquids, but the food.
Well, if you're eating food, if you, let's say, you're eating watermelon.
Well, I was thinking the meat.
The meat, that the water doesn't separate easily from that. That digests and will cycle in slowly. But anything that's liquid should be sipped and not gulped. Okay. So, as far as answering your question, it depends upon you and what you're doing. Marathon runners, I tell them, even 10 minutes before they're running, start off with, lots of raw butter and honey. Build up that fat system right away. Because you'll hit the wall later, instead of hitting the wall at, let's say, 13 miles. Well, usually it's 7 miles, 13 miles, 18 miles, and 20 miles you're hitting a wall. The greatest one is around 13, 14 miles. If they eat the honey and butter before, that big wall that they hit around that time is shrunken by half. So they don't lose time. Marathon runners, professional marathon runners who've been on the diet, I'm not understanding this. Oh. Oh, hi. No, he does not have to pay. He's part of the... Oh, wait, you're part of the crew here, right?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you weren't?
I'm just my own video. I just wanted to record.
Pardon?
I'm just my own video.
Oh, then, no, nobody can video
Right. But
with
audio,
that. Pardon?
Is audio?
Audio's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? Thank you. The wall that they hit is minimized when that happens. Usually marathon runners don't start off like sprinters at high speed. Sprinters may take 20 minutes, after eating before they start running. But usually, if you're a football player, right away. You can eat and go out on the field, so because you're not running constantly. Playing basketball, again, you want a little bit of time. But you have your sport drink there to sip on the entire time. And you'll never get dehydrated. And you'll always stay more energetic.
Is there too much food that you would eat beforehand? Like is there a specific limit?
It depends on what you're doing.
Like usually I'm going on runs, so that's what I'm asking about.
What kind of running?
Long running.
Long distance. Doesn't matter. You can eat a lot. Now, I had some runners, 10K, 15K, 20K runners who ate a lot of cream before. If you're a stocky runner, raw cream is not a good thing to eat too close. Maybe 2-3 hours prior is okay. Butter is better. Butter digests easily. But if you are having cream, it's not as easy to digest. So you need more energy for digestion, and that's going to take from your athletics. I had one marathon runner who was very stocky and thick, and she had, I told her to have the orange juice and raw cream, 3-4 hours before she started running, because she already had a lot of fat on her body. She drank it an hour before she went on the run. She puked for the first 2 miles. And then she got her momentum up and was going. So that's not a good idea. Raw cream. Raw honey and butters are better. And it should be for a runner somewhere around 8 parts butter to 1 part honey.
Okay, repeat that, please.
8 parts butter to 1 part honey. If you're a runner, if you're an average person, 6 to 1 is normal. If you're in a coma, half and half, 1 to 1. So next time you're in a coma, say, I need half and half. All right, do you have a question?
I do. Diane was telling you about her son and how he eats only 4 or 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
If you were trying to handle anything specific, and you wanted to break it down to say 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 things to eat, what would you do?
Well, I met a tribe in Philippines a little over a year ago, and they only eat mainly 2 foods. and they live to 140s, and they're completely healthy, and they have all their teeth up until the day they die. Some of them will gain a third set in their 90s, but most of them go through the whole life on the one set of teeth from the age of 7 all the way through. They eat mainly 2 foods: fish, and raw coconut. Not coconut cream, but they actually eat the coconut meat. A male will eat sometimes a whole coconut a day, and the females will eat about a half a coconut a day. So you're looking at about a cup, for the men, maybe a cup and a half, cup and 3/4 of women, about a cup of coconut meat a day. That doesn't mean young coconut, it means mature coconut. And then anywhere around a pound of fish a day. They once in a while will eat a banana, a semi-ripe banana or an unripe mango. But that may be 3 a week per person, and that's it, or maybe none at all. But they're living on 2 foods.
How could you translate civilized, so to speak, society, like here in LA?
I would say I mainly eat eggs, dairy, and meat. Basically, that's all I eat. I'll eat 1 fruit a day sometimes. But I live on, the dairy, eggs, and meat. That's all I eat.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I'll pass. He hasn't read the book yet.
Pardon?
He hasn't read the book yet.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question?
Do we get salt naturally from food?
You get sodium naturally. Salts, yes. Salts just doesn't mean sodium. Salts are any minerals.
Because I'm wondering how do we create hydrochloric acid in the stomach?
Well, you get you've got all kinds of minerals in milk. Milk has the most concentration except bone, but we don't eat and digest bone. If you do, you're going to break a tooth off like I did last week, eating a bone.
What kind of bone was it?
It was a chicken bone. I wouldn't try to eat any other kind of bone, but it was a chicken bone. The Eskimos do it. I used to watch the Eskimos sit around at night. They'd eat bones, And I've watched Thais do it. I thought my teeth were getting better, but these are the ones that were broken when I got mugged, So it didn't make it through that, bone chewing.
All for science.
But the hole it came out of was completely sealed, and the gum grew up in 2 hours. 2 hours, completely sealed and healed in 2 hours. I tried to put it back in. It wouldn't take it.
Draw another one.
Yeah, that's what I'm counting on. But I don't have to wait till 90. I've got 27 more years, or 26 more years. Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have any guidelines about eating high meat, because if you shouldn't eat it with certain things, or should eat it with certain things, or if it's better at a certain time of day, or how much?
Well, you have to look at the things that destroy bacteria or inhibit them from multiplying. Honey prevents that. Fruit prevents that, especially citrus fruit. However, the citrus will act like an enzyme, like a digestive fluid, to break down certain kinds of food substances. Now, bacteria is supposed to be the main digester. 80 to 90% of digestion is supposed to be bacterial. Only 10 to 20% is enzymatic digestive juices. And the digestive juices break down your larger particles of food that you may not have chewed enough or pureed or something like that. Those will dissolve those into smaller compounds so that the bacteria can infiltrate it and eat it. Now, the excrement, the secretions of bacteria is our food. So we're piss and shit eaters, basically, of bacteria. And that's the truth of it. And when you listen to the pharmaceutical and medical industries and the health departments which run them, you get the whole idea that bacteria is bad. The latest information that came out this year was that in the digestive tract, for every 1 human gene, we have 150 genes. Up until this year, it was understood that for every one human gene, there were 100 bacterial genes, but that was over the whole body theoretically. But they've proved that there are 150, at least in the digestive tract, per one human gene. So everything that occurs, including digestion in our entire bodies, has to do with bacteria. There are no bad bacteria unless they're man-made, period. The pharmaceutical gets you to believe that there are bad bacteria in foods. The only thing that contaminates food are their chemicals.
Yes.
Chlorine, ammonia. You walk into a meat market now, you get a headache from all the Clorox, the chlorine that you smell, or the ammonia. Those are the poisons, not the bacteria in your food. So high meat is a very good thing. I ate the stinkiest high chicken I think I ever had this morning, and it was delicious. Absolutely delicious. You know, I love the leg because it's got a oilier fat than the breast, which is drier. And when the bacteria breaks it down, it is so tasty. Stinks like hell, but it is so tasty. You know. Yeah.
If you eat it and it burns, is that
No, that just means you've got low mucus and protection on your tongue and throat. You need to up your milkshakes so you'll create more mucus.
Would you recommend drinking milk before that, or?
Well, if you get a burning sensation, I would put a little cream in my mouth and let it, work around in the mouth for about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and let it go down the throat slowly, and coat the throat. Then eat it. And if it starts burning at any point, take another half a teaspoon of cream and coat again, and then finish it. Okay? Do you have a question?
I do. To handle two things, one is like blood being extra thick and you get cramps and stuff like that, and the other being trying to really handle gout. I was thinking of having like a whole lot of grapefruit juice. Like start out the day with maybe a couple of grapefruit juices, maybe spaced a half hour apart or something like that. And I don't know what else to do with it. If I should have cream or butter with it.
Well, thick blood will not give you gout, and it will not give you cramps. Lactic acid built up in the muscles from your body using its energy, and it's not cleaning properly. So you need to be doing your hot baths if you're not cleaning properly. And you could have whey. The lactic acid in whey, the raw lactic acid in whey, will help the spent lactic acid in the body neutralize and leave the body if you're perspiring. Everybody. The lymph system cleans the body. You've got lymph nodes and lymph glands. They clean the body. If you do not clean the system, all of these toxins will keep accumulating. In-product metabolism causes Charlie horses, cramping, because the lactic acid built up in the muscles. That's what causes all cramping. That's what even causes cramping around the heart, unless you've got a chemical in there burning the tissue. So, if you want to help break that stuff down, you drink some whey or the sport formula, and you get into a hot bath or a hot tub, and you sweat until you get it out. And I recommend that everybody, unless they're an athlete who sweats every day, get into a hot bath every day of 40 minutes. It's important because that will stay under your skin. And if it builds up and builds up and builds up over the years, what does it cause? It causes deterioration of your connective tissue, destruction of your skin, and it can lead to lupus, MS, destruction of the nerves. It can lead to the destruction of all of your tissues internally. So you've got to perspire these poisons out of the body.
And you have it with
If you grew up on a raw diet all your life, you wouldn't have those kind of toxins. You wouldn't have a buildup to where your body can only handle so much without having a hot bath. You wouldn't need hot baths. But because we're so toxic, we've accumulated in our lifetimes all these toxins. your body is so worn it needs the perspiration help. If you can't take a bath, you don't have a bath, you only have a shower, you get 7 hot water bottles or 5 hot water bottles and put, 2 here, 2 here, and 1 between your legs, around your calves, and sweat. You could even put another couple here, 2 more around your neck. And you cover yourself, put a couple of towels underneath you because your bed will be wet. And then, 2 or 3 layers of towels, and then put something over you like a down comforter to really keep that heat in so you can perspire for a few hours during the night.
Do you want to get in a sauna?
A sauna is too hot. They're from 138 degrees to 169 degrees. That burns the tissue on your eyes, it burns all the mucous membranes, causes scarring and thinning of mucus. So over a long period, those are very bad, and it gets too hot. In a hot bath, you keep it no more than 108 degrees. 110 for some people, but anywhere 105 to 108. Low temperature. Steam is even worse, up to 112 degrees. Does even more scarring to the bronchioles of the lungs.
And you're drinking the sport drink when you're in that bathtub?
You can drink a couple of cups of it. Sip it all the time you're there, yeah. Take like a sip every minute that you're in there. If you're in there 90 minutes, let's say you want to get deep into the lymphatic system because your lymphatic system is jammed. Then you have to stay in 60 to 90 minutes.
Do you have any opinion on far infrared stuff to assist in that?
Far infrared is a problem because those saunas don't go below 131 degrees. Too hot. Yeah. Plus, it's not a balanced radiation, the wave. It is always, when it's from the sun, it's in a whole array, a spectrum of non-isolated radio waves, radiation waves. Ultraviolet wave is you keep getting in you're going to imbalance your whole system. You're going to stop making vitamin D. You've got a real problem if you stop making vitamin D.
So in your book you talk about the pineapple formula. Would you substitute the sport drink for that, or you think it's about equal? Or
no, if you have deep lymphatic congestion, you need to stay in 60 to 90 minutes. You want that pineapple mixture.
Okay.
But you also make the sport drink. You sip on that too.
Right.
You drink the pineapple thing before you get in bath, as soon as you get in, and then the sport drink as you're going through it. You sip a little bit of that, and you're going to keep up with the amount you're perspiring. So when you get out, you don't start chugging, your liquids, because then most of them are going to go to your kidneys again.
What about a sauna and you can just turn the heat down? So set it at like 108 or something.
Doesn't set down. They don't set down that low. None of them go below 131 degrees. And most infrared saunas are the lowest, and I've never seen, when I've tested them, even though they say 131, they're really 138 degrees. Too hot. Over 107, 108 degrees is really enough, up to those temperatures. Some people can take the 110 degrees if they're very fat and overweight. But
if you could regulate it, I've been in saunas where you could adjust the temperature.
Again, it's dry heat.
So you don't even want to do that.
It's not a good thing. It'll dry out your sinuses. It'll cause problems.
Okay.
And dry out your eyes. Dry out your eardrums. Dry out a lot of things.
That's very good. I understand all that. There is an objective test that I can get done in a hospital that there's a certain acceptable range of thickness or thinness or whatever for the blood.
What do I tell everybody about the pharmaceuticals, medical professions measures? They're all meant to trap you into being unhealthy. They do not make money if you're healthy. So all of their tests, no matter what, my blood is so thick they say I should be dead. Literally. Do I look like I'm dead? Do I have a low energy level?
No. And everyone here should know. I just had some blood tests done that they have lowered the normal ranges
two things.
of everything.
Two main things. One is blood sugar, and the other is cholesterol. And the reason you're doing it is so that more people will be pronounced diabetics.
Absolutely.
I
So they
knew
can
it.
trap them into the diabetes.
By the way, they
the
just
main ill machine. Hold on. So they can trap them into that syndrome of taking diabetes medicines. And the other is cholesterol, so that people will take statins and all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
They have jimmied the ranges to make them so that more people will be needing heart medicines and diabetes medicines.
Well, 50 years ago was when I caught them. They it was 200 cancer cells per million was treatable cancer. Then all of a sudden they said, "Al, we're not making enough money. Just think how much money we could make." They lowered it to 50 cancer cells per million cells.
They announced it on the radio 3 days ago. One cancer cell. They've come up with a method can detect one cancer cell per million.
That's what they're saying now?
It was on the radio 2-3 days
So
ago.
that's now treatable. If you have one cancer cell.
They can detect one in a
And
million.
I know, but they'll
So
say
that
it's
means
treatable.
They can now give you cancer treatment if they have one.
No. There's still a concentration. Everybody has cancer cells.
Yes.
Most people under the age of 25 have maybe anywhere from 25 to 50 or 25 to 30 per million healthy cells, or per million human cells. When you get up about 35, it very easily go from 40 to 50 and back and forth, or 40 to 75, anywhere in that time. If you go and get checked by the medical profession in that time, you happen to be 50 or above, they're going to say you have treatable cancer. They're going to scare the shit out of you, tell you you're going to have cancer, you're going to die if you don't take these treatments. And it's all terrorism. It's got nothing to do with fact. So don't listen to it. Any test that the pharmaceutical industry puts out, and it's the pharmaceutical industry that creates this, not the medical profession. Medical profession are nothing but computers for the pharmaceutical industry. They only tell you, just like a computer, can only tell you what it's told. Okay? The medical profession are just computers for the pharmaceutical industry. So whatever they tell you is to make money. It is not for your health. They do not make money if you're healthy. Period. That is it. If you're not taking medication, they don't make money.
So will they tell you when you take a cancer test, or when you take a blood test, how many parts per million? Is that-
They will check it if they're checking for cancer.
Will they tell you?
Not unless you ask them.
Okay, so it's not on the test. It's not like
It's not
no.
regular.
Okay,
Unless
so-
it is
so
a
if they
cancer
say
test.
you don't
If it is a cancer test, if they're checking for cancer,
Right.
and that's why they're checking you, yes, it is on the test.
Okay.
But they're not going to come out and say, well, you've got 75 per million. You're going to have to ask the doctor.
Right, okay.
Okay. Steve, do you have a question? You already asked, right. Do you have a question? Right here, yes.
Yeah, I would like to know on the bathtub, beside the hot water, you can add salt or
Yes. What I said was you had milk, sea salt, or Epsom salt, raw apple cider vinegar, and some coconut cream. The ratios are in the rest. In We Want to Live, my book, We Want to Live, under health methodologies, and under bath.
So you're saying add the coconut cream now? That's not in the original formula. It's in a separate formula, but it's not together. What you just said.
Well, you can put them in.
But you can add the coconut cream to
Yes,
the milk.
because it's nicer for the skin.
Right.
But you mentioned that not to drink the water, because the water goes into the kidneys. But I want to have that clarified.
Don't drink water. Water, very much water. Maybe everybody needs about a half a cup of water a day.
Because you see, like when you get very thirsty or you get off from the
Don't let yourself get thirsty. You sip on milk and the sport formula. You eat your raw foods. It's full of water.
Okay. What happened with the water if the person drinks the water?
I told you, it'll go to the kidneys. It'll dissolve and neutralize intestinal bacteria and digestive juices. It'll deteriorate the mucus lining and irritate the body. And it also will over-alkalinize the system and neutralize some of your digestive juices as well as diluting them.
Do you suggest anything for the doctor told me that I have macular degeneration, and I was wondering why that's an age-related. And I am pretty healthy for that.
Macular degeneration is because you don't have enough good fat and a good protein to clean the eyes. Okay? And for some reason, theoretically, white meat should be for the eyes, but in all my experiments with eye changes, red meat is the only thing that will change the eyes quickly. Red meat and butter.
And one more question about, you said you...
You can't have two questions. We've got too many people.
That's
How about the
Roger, do you have a question?
Yeah. After red meat is frozen, does it go down nutritionally or not?
80% loss.
Wow, oh my God.
So in other words, you should only eat meat that has not been frozen.
Well, once in a while you might be able to eat some non-frozen butter with some frozen meat.
Butter,
Well, I'm going to tell you the story, just like in my newsletter. Do you read my newsletters? You should. You should subscribe and get the newsletters. I tell about the experiments that I did in there. I took two groups of animals, fed them the same meat, frozen and unfrozen. The ones that ate it frozen, ate the frozen meat, all of them. Everyone got a skin disorder within 6 weeks. One of them had the mange so bad that its skin was seeping and oozing, like psoriasis. So that was the same meat, the animals, and they got very thirsty all the time. They were they were irritable. They were in anxiety a lot. They barked and growled at each other. The group that ate, now I didn't feed them anything. They got no water. They got nothing but the raw meat. The group that ate nothing but the raw meat, no problems, no thirst, no anxiety, happy, everything was marvelous. Okay. Then I took, well, it depends upon the fish. If you've got northern fish, I find it doesn't do it. You may lose maybe 15%, 20% maximum.
You mean the salmon, the frozen salmon?
Well, frozen tuna, northern tuna, halibut's okay. Some of the northern fish, when they're farmed from that, when they're fished from that area, I found that that's less damaging to those particular meats. Then I took that group of animals that got all the skin disorder, I split them into two, and I gave them raw non-frozen butter and the raw frozen butter. The group that got the non-frozen butter healed 5 times faster than the group that got the frozen butter. That means that's an 80% decrease. 80% decrease in the value of butter. The meat showed it to be actually poisonous. So, if you're going to eat frozen meat, let's say you go to a restaurant and you order, let's say you order carpaccio. To get that very thinly sliced meat, they freeze it and then put it through a slicer to get it that thin evenly. You better take some raw butter or have a lot of raw butter before you eat it.
But the only way you get non-frozen butter is to make it yourself, because it's all stored in the freezer at the market. Drawsons, they put it in the freezer.
That's not frozen.
That's refrigerated.
Never they refrigerate. They only refrigerate that. That's not frozen.
Oh, that's refrigerated.
That's a big
obviously
walk-in
the milk would
refrigerator.
freeze it with a freezer.
The only freezer they have is outside where the ice cream and stuff is.
Yeah, okay.
That's different. Okay, do you have a question?
Yes. What could you use for beginning cataracts? They say I have beginning cataracts.
Again, meat and butter. raw red meat and butter is the best thing. Red meat and butter. That's the only thing that I've ever seen remove. Of course, pineapple. Eating pineapple with some cream, pineapple with some butter, a little bit every day, maybe an ounce of pineapple with a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of cream, and then eating the red meat and butter sometime in the day. You can also take butter and get it very warm, put a little, just a smidgen on your palm and let it get very warm, and then take it and go like this and rub it along the score at the bottom, and then lift both of them and roll your eye to get the butter all around. Best to do that before you go to sleep, okay? Because it will fog your eye for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. You can put egg white any time in the day, and that will only fog your eye for about 5 minutes. So those are the things that you can feed the eye directly. You're welcome. Okay.
Hi there.
Barbara's got a question.
Oh, Barbara, hi. You're hiding back there. Well, when Kathy was there.
Okay. I've been taking some of the pork intestine. I got a whole pork intestine, large and small. And because the skin of it was going moldy, I had to kind of do surgery and scoop out the stuff.
No, just scrape it up.
Oh, well, what I did was did surgery on it, and I scooped out all of the stuff from the inside and stuck it in a mason jar. And I've been eating that from the refrigerator.
Now, are you eating the large intestine or small intestine that you're describing? And they're both molded, and you both cut them and taken the ingredients out of both? I don't recommend the ingredients out of the small intestine too much. Mainly the intestinal walls, because it's too alkaline. It depends on what they're feeding the pigs. If they're feeding pigs mainly, skim milk and animal byproducts, that's fine.
Well, they're feeding, everything is organically.
Doesn't make any difference. If they're feeding a lot of vegetation.
It's not a commercial pig. It was raised on a tiny little farm from someone.
Still, if they're feeding a lot of vegetation, that's something you don't want too much of until it's in the bowel. Then it's okay in the bowel, but not in the small intestine.
And is it okay just to take a tablespoon, and slop it on the meat when I eat the meat?
That's fine.
Okay, and it's okay that it remains in the refrigerator? Because I can't stand it if it's too high.
Well, I would take it out of the refrigerator a couple hours before you're going to eat it.
2 hours is fine.
Yeah. Maybe 3 hours minimum. Like I took my chicken out and I left it out for 2 days. It was already high, and I left it out for 2 days before I eat it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yeah. How do you get rid of plastics from the inside out, like plastics lodged in the arteries or things like that?
Pineapple's helpful. Grapefruit is helpful. Those are about the only things that will break down. Of course, coconut cream. Pineapple and coconut cream. Pineapple and grapefruit will help dissolve plastics. Doesn't help dissolve them easily because plastics are not easily. The body does not want to absorb the phthalates from it, so it doesn't break them down easily. The best thing is to get it to move it into a larger molecule form into the intestines, not out the skin.
Right.
Because if it goes out the skin, you're going to definitely have a lot of skin problems. Of course, you're going to have intestinal problems too, but it'll pass through the intestines more easily than it will the skin.
Okay. That wet part for coconut cream with pineapple.
Well, you have to be careful about that. Vinegar is also helpful. If you make a mixture, a safe mixture, I would take pineapple, kiwi, and mango, those three, and about a quarter cup of each. Then I'd add a teaspoon of lime, a teaspoon of lemon, a 1.5 tablespoon of honey, and about 2 tablespoons of coconut cream. maybe a teaspoon of dairy cream, and blend that all together. And then you need some kind of a natural hydrogen peroxide type reaction, so you can get it from the Gerolsteiner. You'll get more from Gerolsteiner than any other of the waters. And you take that mixture that you blended and you pour that into the sparkling mineral water, about 2.5 ounces. Sit that over a 15-minute period. Now, I got an email this week said, oh, Gerolsteiner got an F according to the, the water board. And so, I flipped out a little bit and said, oh no. So I went to the water board and looked, and they've rated it because Gerolsteiner does not clean the water. They do not filter it. They do not process it at all. It's got bacteria in it. It's got everything in it. Therefore, that's an F.
Yay!
They are looking for purified, decontaminated water. There with their, their idea is bacteria is contaminating. I want the bacteria. So it was the only water that had absolutely no processing. So it got its rightful F. It did not show any heavy toxic metals, no uranium, no nothing. But it got its F on because it's not processed. Okay? So Gerolsteiner is good.
But is Gerolsteiner going to change what they're doing?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, let's hope they don't try to get an A.
Nobody's going to stop drinking it, I guarantee you that. I don't think anybody's going to believe them. There may be some people out there who stop, but all of you drinking it, you're going to be contagious to other people, and you're going to spread the word. And when Gerolsteiner started here 6 years ago, with my patients alone, the industry grew rapidly in 2 years.
Until they use plastic bottles.
Until they start plastic bottles, and then we stopped buying it. And that was overnight. We stopped buying it. And let me tell you, it wasn't a year later, and they went back to their plastic bottles.
I called in Germany.
I sent them letters and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a question? Yes.
How much vegetable juice would you recommend?
It depends upon the individual. In the recipe book, I give juice recipes and your body weight what I suggest. If you come to me and I look in your eyes and do a whole, I will tell you what I suggest. But it depends upon what I see. But I would say for the average person, if you're highly acidic and irritable, a little bit more vegetable juice is better. If you're on an okay keel, 2 cups a day. If you're very vibrantly healthy and you're not an athlete, a cup a day could be fine. I'm to the point now where I have a cup a week, 2 cups a week maximum. So I don't need all that alkalinity anymore. I drink 2 quarts of milk. I have plenty of alkalinity with the phosphorus and potassium, magnesium, and calcium in the dairy to handle it for me. Okay. Way in the back. You have some? No, I'm going way in the back around.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Enlarged prostate.
Uh-huh.
This isn't for me, but do you have any recommendations? He's at the point where they're recommending whatever Avatar, whatever that chemical stuff that they say females and children don't touch the pill. It's on you to take it. But,
of course, that pill creates cancer.
Yeah, the pill. Leave the pill alone. We both know it's poison. But for a large prostate, what would you recommend for?
I recommend he puts a hot water bottle up his crack all night long and let it perspire. Because it's usually a water buildup. So if he puts a hot water bottle out that night, he will perspire from that area. The fluids will be lost from the prostate. Every night it brings it down. Now, during the day, when the prostate is cleansing, if you've got a large prostate, there's something toxic in the prostate that needs cleansing. So, if he gets in there and cleans it during the day and cleans it at night, eliminates the toxins that have been neutralized by the fluids during the day, his prostate will stay at a pretty reasonable size.
Getting technical on the water bottle, what? I imagine they make it work.
A hot water bottle, it's shaped,
It's designed to go up your butt, obviously.
No.
Can I just sit on it?
Well, you can do anything with them. They're shaped like this. Okay. Well, you've got synthetic ones, and you've got true rubber ones.
The Vermont Country Store.
Vermont Country Store has very expensive
100%
ones.
rubber from Germany.
Yeah, but you can get 100% rubber online for like $10.
Yeah, they're cheap. Okay.
Yeah, cheaper. Country Store. Theirs are just very expensive. They charge $40 now, $45.
No, I just bought a couple. I think they were 20 each.
Oh, they've gone down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
They're
good.
100% rubber.
Rubber.
They're made in Germany. Very
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. Well, there's several. There's one that's made in South America that's also available, and that's only like $8. A bag, and you just fill it with hot water, and you cap it, and you stick it wherever you want the heat.
Okay.
And he would, he could either keep it between his legs right here. He's lying on his back or his front, or he lies on the side, put it right at the back, the crack. No matter which side he's staying on. And then he should cover that area with like a silk cloth to make sure that the heat is tinted in.
There's a large black Cadillac blocking the large truck right at the entrance of the street.
Anybody with a big black Cadillac?
56 Cadillac.
Anybody got a Cadillac? Nope, not us. So just apply the heat. Anytime you have pain, swelling you don't want, ringing in the ears, you've got too much fluid. Put the heat there for as long as you can during the night, and it will perspire it out of your body. It will evaporate it. You're ringing in the ears, you've got too much water in your eardrums. Put the water on one ear per night and drain it. Evaporate it, and the ringing will disappear.
With the hot water bottle.
Yeah. And of course, if you've got some toxicity in your ears during the day, the waters and the fluids are going to build up in there because you're delivering nutrients to clean the area and then to heal it. So you're going to have more swelling. So one night per ear, and keep it down so the ringing isn't too bad. Okay. Yes.
You mentioned earlier about the bats, and I see the measurements of the ingredients to put in the cup. Is it a simpler version? Because a lot of, it comes costly after a while. So I just want to know if there's a simpler version for the bats. What I put in the bats.
Well, everything's expensive these days that has to do with food. The food market is going up higher than medication, and that's purposeful. So that's why we need to invest in farms where people are going to be honest and have true farmers, not people who are going to just look at the dollar and leave it. That means they need more support, of course, but you've got to keep an eye on them regardless. I even check my Amish farmers, which are entirely, trustworthy, but just so I can, make sure that they're not making changes. I will go there and I'll drop in on them without being noticed. And I see what they're doing, and everybody's doing wonderfully, just as I asked them. Even farming differently than they've been taught, because I want things grown and fed a certain way. So I'll check on them. We've got a 62-acre farm out here, Healthy Family Farms. She's not a good farmer. The woman who's there running it, pretty soon she'll probably be evicted, and then we need other farmers, or somebody's going to sell the farm. The owners are going to sell the farm. And that's 62 good acres, because that is in a mountain area where it's got the cleanest water in California. So The aquifers, everything there are very good, but we just need good farmers in there, to do it. And then, of course, it's going to have to come, to refinance it, because the person now is just very disillusioned who has the note on it because of the way the present renter of the farm is handling it. She even burned down a barn a month ago. Burned down this old 200-year-old barn. So, in order to keep us in good foods, and it's still going to be expensive, once to get it started, and there's nothing more valuable than that. And I've taken care of myself. I have 2 farms overseas in very primitive areas, so I don't have to worry about health departments saying I can't grow this or can't grow that. They'd have to have a major truck to get over there to do it, and to even find me. So I'm not worried about that, and I've got good food growing now. I've got fences in both properties. I've got animals. Now I'm getting the animals this next trip. I got 3 cows and 1 horse in Thailand, but I'm going to get a lot of animals for those properties. So I will always be taken care of. But those people who are planning to live in the United States for the rest of their life better find some places where there's good property and get in, as a group and get a farm together. And, you can have them, you can dictate to them the way I say farming should be done. And I will be writing all that up in the next few months so that everybody will have it, what to feed what to grow. Yes?
There's a family on the Final Diet who has acreage in Texas, and they made a DVD about all they grow rabbits, they have rabbits, and they garden and all this stuff, and it's for like a way to get started instantly for a person who wants to grow their own food. If anybody wants to know about it, I'll send you the link.
What do you mean? You can use their land, or
no?
They'll help you.
If you're going to get land of your own, but they'll tell you how to go about it so that it you don't use it up, so that it stays good, and how to move things around and what to do with your rabbits and all that stuff.
Well, anytime you have animals, you have to move the grazing areas. Absolutely have to do that.
So my question about
Oh, the expensive food.
I want to know what's the simplest version to put in the tub.
Yeah.
All the ingredients is all together. It's costing so much to know if there's a simpler version.
Well, you can go buy the old milk and the old coconut cream. That's the way you can cut down on prices. But would you rather be cheap on the ingredients that goes in the water, or absorb that? We have the water that you get here in LA has been used 3 times. All of the factories that are in all the way from Saugus up there, they use it first. The valley uses it. Saugus, then Northern Valley, Northridge area, then the southern area in the valley, then we get it from them. So you have all those industrial chemicals. They don't give a shit about the industrial chemicals. They just want the bacteria out. So they add fluoride and more chemicals, more chlorine and stuff like that. They don't separate anything out. So by the time it gets to here in LA Basin, you've got 192 chemicals in that water. So you want those absorbed into your system and damaging your skin and the rest of your body.
In your book, you give an alternative, like you say clay and I think vinegar.
Yeah, but now the clay is so freaking expensive. Everything's so expensive.
Well, you told me once to buy his fertilizer, which I did, but it's got pig blood in it. So I just wash it out, wash the pig blood out, and it was like really cheap compared to the other. I think it was $20 for a huge bag. And if you have like a hot tub or jacuzzi, you don't have to wash it out. You can reuse the same clay over it again because you keep the same water in
No,
there.
because that's processed blood,
Yeah.
and that will mix in your filters and everything. So I would still wash it.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
then you've got labor-intensive stuff, so everything's expensive now. This is the way it is. If you want to get a group of people together and go mine some clay out in the Mojave Desert, because that's where the Termin comes from, go do it. Just don't get caught. Do it at night, and make it available for your co-op or something. But it's not easy. In the book I say 1.5 cups of milk. If you're using 3/4 of a cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of sun-dried sea salt, or 2 heaping tablespoons of Epsom salt, or 3. You'll need more Epsom salt than you will sea salt. And 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of your fermented coconut cream. Then and 2 to 3 tablespoons of vinegar. That'll be enough for a normal-sized bath.
Oh, what about a double-sized bath?
Then you want to double that ingredient.
Oh, really? Oh, so you do want to double it?
If you've got city water, absolutely.
Well, if it's all filtered from an outside filter system, whatever. I mean,
Then-
it may not be to your specs, but at least...
If there's a filter, then I would cut it down to the same as a regular-sized bath.
Let me understand. Are you adding coconut cream to the other 3 ingredients? Is
Yes,
that a
just for
mandatory?
the skin. It's very nice for the skin. Because it stays mainly on the top, so when you get out, it just has this coating, creamy, rich coating. So it's very pleasant. Okay, do you have a question, Allison?
Hi, Aajonus. I noticed they're spraying us heavy duty for some time now, big time. What is the best way to remove these heavy metals that we are breathing in through our nose and our mouth?
Well, I went into one newsletter last year that detailed what to do about it.
Okay.
So just look at that one.
Okay.
Okay, because it's a little involved.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have another question?
What do you think about, this genetically modified foods as far as that goes? If you ingested in it as raw.
When I've had the genetically modified salmon, I've gotten deathly sick each time and vomiting. So I think it's very bad. It causes allergies. You've got different kinds of genes. Nothing's uniform. You have to understand that for millions of years, everything has developed together. These new modifications are not natural. And they're not, the bacteria that react in there are missing.
I understand it can turn your intestinal tract into an insecticide field.
Absolutely, yeah. Destroy your own bacteria, you're not going to digest anything, and that's what happens when I eat. Do you have a question?
I have a question about water filtration systems. What would be the best one for my whole house?
Okay, the best, if you have a 3-tier system is the best. Best to get a canister that sits about 3 feet high. It's about 10 inches or more in diameter. The first one should be paper, like a HEPA filter. The next one should be coconut carbon, or carbon from coconut shells. And then the last one should be untreated sand.
What do you get with that?
How about reverse osmosis?
Reverse osmosis is,
Well, where do you get those?
it doesn't really get rid of too many things. It doesn't get rid of your chemicals.
What do you get those things that you mentioned?
You'll have to find them. It's been 10 years, 11, 12 years since I've looked into them. But you try to get, the major canisters, not these little bitty things like this, because then you have to change them every month if you've got the big ones. Now, what I did for my hot tub, because I put coconut cream in them and stuff like that, I got a 300-pound sand filter that belongs in a swimming pool. And I used it for 11 years without ever changing the sand, and it kept my water crystal clear. Crystal, just the sand. Now, you have to understand that the medical profession's ideology is that you don't want anything that's not clean. Sand is not clean. There's dirt in sand. There's bacteria in sand. You don't want sand. So they say use the sand as your first filter. No, I want it as the last. I don't want paper to use chemicals to make paper. Some of the most atrocious chemicals in the world, even if it's your HEPA filter. So any that come from that will get arrested in the carbon side. Anything that passes through the carbon side is going to get arrested in the sand. Absolutely. So you tell your plumber, I'm not asking for your advice. I've already got the expert advice on that. Do what I want. That's
The
it.
plumber can do that. That's what I was going to ask too. The plumber can do that. You can just ask the plumber to do it.
No, you tell the plumber to do it.
I know what I mean. The plumber can do it.
That works for you. So you tell the plumber what you want. You say, I want you to find tier filters like this, a paper one, a carbon with carbon from coconut shells, and a sand, and one with sand. And you want it in this order. The water goes through the paper first, then the carbon, then the sand. No questions. That's the way he does it. That's it. Simple.
What about using the
I've had plenty of people tell their plumbers that's what to do. I've even had to get on the phone with one filter company. I said, if you ask me one more question, don't do what I want, and you're going to argue with me about what you think is clean and what isn't, I will take them to somebody else, and we'll have somebody else you have them use somebody else's filters. Oh, okay. Of course, they want their product sold. And they got their idea of what's healthy, way it should be. And they want to help you, and they want to do it right, but they don't have any open mind about, what the filter should be. So,
How about Pristine Hydro, the one that's in Wilson?
I don't know anything about that. You're going to email me, and I'll take a look at it. Okay. You have a question?
Yes, so for your opinion of mercury amalgams, right now, what's the amalgams?
Yeah.
What would be the best process to get rid of it?
Well, you need to go to a dentist who uses a dam in the mouth to catch it, and definitely need to be removed. I tell everybody to be on the diet 2.5 years first, because once the amalgam is removed, the body's going to start removing that thallium and mercury and the other metals, tin that's in the amalgams, will start draining from those nerves that's collected in their nerves for all the years that they've been in that tooth. So you're going to have detoxifications from it. You will experience a lot more unhappy detoxifications and even traumatic ones if you haven't been on the diet a while. Not definitely that you will, but it's happened in about 10% of the cases. Very bad responses for people who haven't been on the diet long enough. So I tell people to be on the diet 2.5 years, and then, or be on a very good diet, at least 80%, healthy for that long before you have them removed. Then when you have them removed, you have a dentist that has the dam that knows how to remove it safely. Now, the thing that they won't tell you is that if they don't give you some oxygen to breathe through here and a way to close that powder, the dust will get in and you're going to inhale it. It's going to get into your brain again. It's going to get into your sinus. It's going to get into your bronchioles, your lungs, your esophagus. So what I did when I had mine removed, and I had 16 removed in 2 days, 4 hours of drilling one morning, 4 hours of drilling the next morning. And that was back in 1978 when they had no water jet on the bit. And when the bit gets so hot from drilling, because there's no water jet, that burns the nerve, it causes a blister on the nerve, and that's your major pain. It does not stop for weeks, months sometimes. So back then, I used to have a signal. I'd tap my arm or his elbow, and of course, if he's drilling at that very moment, I won't tap his elbow. I would tap, I'd tap the arm, and then he would dip it in the cold water for about 10 seconds, 13 seconds, 15 seconds, and then go back to drilling. Now they have the water jet, which is not a problem. But what you have to do is you don't have a closed, if you've just got 2 tubes up your nose, you're still going to get the mercury dust. So what you do is you don't breathe while the drilling is happening, and for 3, 4, 5 seconds after. So what I would do is as soon as I know that bit's going toward my mouth, I take a slow, deep breath, I hold it, and I let it out just a tiny bit at a time. So he may have a minute of drilling, a minute and a half of drilling. And I make myself calm, and made myself calm just while the drilling was going on. And then, but they usually never drill more because they have to look, and they have to go like this, and they have to look again as they're doing it. But when it's away, you have to exhale out your nose and push the dust away. So you're not inhaling it. And you inhale your next breath again for when they drill again. And always have a signal. If I tap the chair, arm on the chair, you stop drilling, period, and give me 2 minutes. And then that way you avoid inhaling that stuff, and because that can be highly toxic.
Any recommendation, or have you heard of anybody here that does it correctly?
There are quite a few dentists in Los Angeles who are holistic and do it, but they don't consider you're breathing the dust in. They don't. Why they don't consider that, I don't have a clue. If there is a dentist, I don't know of one, puts a complete mask over your nose and it has oxygen going into it, fine. I don't like the oxygen myself because it's a synthetic oxygen, so I wouldn't do it when it was offered to me. Also, there was no closed thing on it to isolate dust coming in. So I said, not for me. I will breathe the atmosphere air in here. It's got more oxygen live oxygen than in any tank. And then I just have my rhythm of doing it for drilling. Do you have a question?
They just diagnosed me with sleep apnea, and I was looking and I didn't see anything in your book, so I wondered if there's anything. I mean, I know there are exercises and things like that, but
what's your sleep apnea?
It's all.
Sleep apnea means people who have a problem sleeping consistently.
Well,
what is yours?
The throat closes, I guess, is really lax. The muscles in the throat are really lax, and so they can close, and then you stop breathing for whatever time, and then you wake up. Now, it's never woken me. Well, I don't know if it's woken me up because when I wake up, I don't know what has woken me up. But I just wondered if there's anything in particular to do about.
Well, again, you've got dead cells in the sinuses. So when you lie down in the prone position, the gravity pushes your sagging dead cells closed in your sinuses, and that stops you from breathing.
Prone or supine?
Pardon?
Prone or supine? Because it's on your back. You're sleeping on your back.
Yeah. If you're sitting up, that won't happen.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Because the gravity pushes it open.
Right.
But if you're lying down, it'll push it closed.
So anything nutritionally, or put I don't know, the
bone marrow and pineapple on your neck.
Okay.
I put the pineapple on one day and then 2 days bone marrow. Also, just put some bone marrow in your mouth and just keep mushing it and drip it down slowly down your throat so it can absorb. You can snort some. You can make it liquid, and what you can do is take a bone marrow on the softer sections and get some of the oil out of it, and you can put it back, drip it back in your nose, so it gets back into your sinuses. You could do that.
Oh, okay, for the sinus, because my sinus is a little clear, it's not the sinus.
But it's usually the sinus membrane that shuts it off.
Yeah.
It's usually not here, it's usually up in here. You want to?
If you sleep on your side, that won't happen.
Some people it does, because it'll even fold down to the side. On your face, it usually doesn't happen if you sleep on your face. But that's hard to breathe anyway. But sitting is an easy way to do it.
You mean sleep sitting?
Sleep sitting.
Oh.
Okay, Kathy, did we get you? No.
No, not yet. Excuse me. I wanted to know about, for a long time I've been getting underneath my chin has been loose here, and I've looked, and it, it sags right here, so I want to know if there's an exercise, or maybe I lost weight, I gained weight, maybe that has something to do with it. Because years before, I didn't have that before, I guess the weight loss or something, I don't know.
Well, it can be of many different things, but it's always dead cells. You have to remember, all the skin, wherever there's heavy lymphatic activity, and most of your lymph glands are in this area, and this area. What do you see sagging on people first? The neck, arms, the breasts, all those, lymph glands and the mammary glands, and the thighs and the butt. Everywhere where the lymph glands are. The lymph glands take the toxins, neutralize them, send them to the skin to be removed through the skin. They're going to do damage to your skin. The more dead cells you have there, the more the skin's going to sag. So you need to brew hot baths, you need to perspire, you need to put the pineapple on to get rid of some of the dead cells so they don't collect, and then put the bone marrow on and butter, and to strengthen all the skin in those areas. And what I do is I'll take half bone marrow and half butter and leave them out until I'll put them in a jar and immerse them in a bowl of hot water. And when it's melted, I blend them together, and then I've got this thin, almost wet buttery consistency stuff, because when the bone marrow is blended with it, it's a little translucent. It's not clear like melted butter is, but it's translucent. It's still a liquid. And just rub that into the body. If you have massages done, have it rubbed into the whole body.
And the pineapple is blended into it too?
No.
That's something
You can do that. When I'm doing massages, what I will do is I'll take about 2 ounces of butter, 2 ounces of bone marrow, and maybe a teaspoon of coconut cream, and I'll take a tablespoon of the pineapple, and I'll mix it all together. That's because I get lazy about putting pineapple on my skin, directly. But the pineapple will be more effective to get rid of dead cells by putting it directly on your skin and leaving it for 24 hours. Do you have a question?
Yes.
I'll get to you and back. Don't worry about that.
Yes. I have a checkup for my teeth each year. 10 months from when I last had a checkup and went back for another cleaning, even though I'm using the tooth formula and flossing every night and never putting any foreign chemicals in my mouth for that. My last checkup, I ended up with 2 more cavities that had to be filled. One of them was quite big, and so I'm rather disillusioned that what is it I'm not doing where in the period of 10 months all of a sudden I've got 2 major cavities.
Well, you remember with my email about all the mercury and uranium, and it was in the eggs and the chickens for those 2 years. That's what damages, dentine. And it comes from the brain, dumps out the gums, gets onto the dentine and damages the dentine. Bacteria does not cause dental decay. Heavy metals come down, they damage the dentine, then the bacteria is there to get rid of the damaged dentine, not the other way around. So, I'm very upset about, the whole chicken egg thing. Mm-hmm. I'll file the suit this week again. You're not going to get away with it. You hurt too many people.
Yeah.
Sure, they may be towing the rope now and they have their shit together now, but what they did for 2 years was not cool. Not good.
But one thing I see a Band-Aid on your finger, you have a special place of your finger.
No, what I did was I cut myself while I was cutting some chicken.
Just any Band-Aid.
Slip. No, well, there's bone marrow under there touching the wound. The bandage doesn't touch the wound. Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah. Is there a rule of thumb about what kind of fats with different kind of fruits, like different fruit combinations? Often you suggest different kinds of fats with that fruit or something, and I just wondered if there was a rule of thumb about fruit.
No, I pretty much have it down to coconut cream, usually always, with everything, because that's a good cleanser. Any of your animal fats will be predominantly nurturing and healing and soothing rather than cleansing. Coconut cream is predominantly cleansing but still has a soothing effect. Things like pressed oils, your flax oil and olive oil, they are 90% solvent reactive and cause a lot of, detoxification, heavy detoxification, and drying of the system. So coconut cream, always with a animal fat along with it. So with the fruit, usually I'll tell people to eat a little bit of dairy cream with predominantly coconut cream. Anywhere from, let's say, 2 to 4 tablespoons, depending upon the person and what they have, what they need to cleanse. And then the cream, the dairy cream part of it would be anywhere from a half a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. So usually half or even, usually just about half of what is called for coconut cream you have for dairy. And some, if you're going to eat apples, I suggest cheese and butter with your apples. Yeah, because apples are very detoxifying, and they have a tendency to irritate the body, especially adrenal glands. And butter's a little bit more soothing, and the cheese will pull the poisons out along with the pectin from the apple. So that's about the only one that I would change. And so you have cheese and butter with your apple.
How much is hair like
butter?
Pardon?
Would hair be considered like an apple?
No.
Okay.
And
Not a subacid.
Would it be a tablespoon of butter with a tablespoon of cheese, or?
Well, usually a tablespoon of butter with maybe 3 tablespoons of cheese.
And is egg any kind of fat that would be considered in there? I know sometimes.
There's a lot of fat in the egg. But some people who are very dry or have psoriasis or eczema or have nerve damage like multiple sclerosis or even muscular dystrophy, I'll ask them to put a half a teaspoon of cream with each egg. But that's very specific for certain people.
You mean with fruit or just for eggs, period?
You asked me about the fat in eggs. Eggs with a fruit meal, not a good idea. You're not going to digest the egg very well unless I've got combinations in there.
Like custards.
Like the custard, yes.
Just the custard is the egg.
Yeah, but the papaya is a different kind of. Papaya has papain in it, which helps digest the protein in the egg. And pineapple's okay too. But, with egg, I don't suggest many other fruits. Blueberries sometimes, yes, to help detoxify certain conditions. But then we're getting the heavy specifics about metallic detoxifications. And you need the egg fats and the egg protein along with it to keep from doing damage in the body. And the cream and the butter won't do it alone. Do you have a question?
Yes, I'm associated with the top rugby team in the United States. I train with them. And my question is, at the age of 65, first, what have I done? I found out about this in November. So in November, I took about 12 eggs plus 2 cups of raw milk and big tablespoonful of honey. And I noticed that my 100-yard time drop within about 2 weeks, went from 16.5 seconds to 15.5 seconds. But now my question is that when we do the fitness training, I'm running with guys that are an average of about 25 years old. When we run the 400 meters, about 4 or 5 or 6 guys, there's about 30 guys in the team, are getting about 40 or 50 yards ahead of me. Well, I must admit there's 4 or 5 guys that are behind me. But my question is it just a pipe dream, or is it an impossibility, or can I get myself to beat these guys or run the same time as these guys?
I would have to see your eyes to see what your lungs are in, and your legs, your condition of your lungs and legs to be able to tell you that. But yes, it's possible. I have a how old is martial artist, jump ropes.
Oh, he's 66.
66 now. Okay. This man, before he went on the diet, was coming in 35th place in the category from 40 to 60. No, 40 to 70 it is. 40 to 70. Everybody from 40 years old to 70 is in one class. Doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it is. Well, before he went on the diet, that year he came in 35th place. The next year he came in 5th place. Last year he came in first place. He gets better every year, and he's not getting younger.
What diet?
This diet, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that I tend to drink the mixture quite fast in the mornings. Within half an hour I've got it drunk. It's a big blenderful. But I noticed around 11 o'clock or so I start getting an acidy, burny feeling in my stomach.
Too fast. Too fast. Also, you need to eat cheese to absorb the poisons that are in the stomach.
What?
Cheese to absorb poisons that are in the stomach. Because if you're having an acidic reaction, you've diluted, you've already washed too many poisons out of the stomach lining because you consumed too much too fast. Plus, the cheese needs to be there to embrace it. So you sip, let's say, a cup, have some cheese, sip a cup, have some cheese.
Okay.
Keep cycling it that way so you don't have that reaction. But take, 10 minutes, 2 sips a minute. No more than that. Don't gulp. So you're sipping, no more than an ounce a minute. Each sip is about a tablespoon, so it's 1 tablespoon a minute.
Okay.
So 1 tablespoon every 2 minutes.
Okay.
So if you've got 8 ounces, that's 16 minutes, about 15 minutes to drink 1 cup. And that's what it should take. But definitely no less than 10 minutes. And most people do down in 1 minute. What happens? A lot of those fluids go to the kidney. They don't get where they need to get, dispersed throughout the body. Okay? Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. My husband has a question for me.
All right. I'm taking her question, but I've got sort of an abscess tooth going on in my left back molar, and I'm thinking that's because I've got a lot of conditions going on because of that. And one condition I've got going on is an itchy scalp a lot of the time. And I've tried the certain things in the book, but it hasn't mitigated it much. Is there anything you can do for me without
pain and headaches?
No, just itchy scalp, no headaches.
Okay. Then you're just detoxing through the scalp. It's got nothing to do with that tooth.
Right.
You may be detoxing a part of the brain in particular that goes to that tooth. Right. And of course, anything along that channel will be detoxing at the same time of that brain center or that whole area of the brain. When the brain detoxes, it goes into the skull. From the skull, it goes out the scalp. That causes heavy itching, and a lot of poisons get through there. They dry out the skin. But when the toxin comes through, the body needs a lot of fat to harness it. So if the fat, you don't have enough accumulated fat in the scalp, then those toxins will deprive the fat out of those cells. Those cells get dry and start itching because they get scaly. So what you have to do is when you go through that, you take bone marrow or butter and you put it very thinly on your fingertips. You spread your hair and just keep spreading it and putting it into your scalp. And you leave it. You don't rinse it out, even if it makes your hair slightly oily. Then you got the oily look for a while. Like him. That's in style. It's cool. So that's fine. And the woman who was interviewing, that's just the style and look. Of course, you can brush it out, brush it into the hair so it isn't just, there at the root and thick, keeping the thick hair together, or thick clumps of hair together, so to look like that. But when you do that, then the cells will be protected when the chemical comes through and won't dry out the scalp the same way because you have enough fats there to protect you. So either bone marrow or butter.
You blend, every time you say you have to blend the bone marrow with the butter, right?
You can use either or you can use both. Up to you.
I'm saying, that's for your skin. I say, blend.
Strengthens and protects the skin. Do you have a question? Oh, you have one more for you.
Okay. Now, my wife doesn't like the shower head that we have. We got a filtered shower head, but it's not coming out fast enough for her. So I'm wondering, is there anything that you would recommend? Your
you have
favorite?
A house or an apartment? Yeah, it's difficult because you can't put a filter system on the whole the whole apartment. So it's just difficult to do. You've got to have some kind of filter on it. So won't be able to enjoy a hard shower. There's no way to, unless you go down and put a pump, on the water system. And you can do that, but you're going to be doing it for the whole building.
So if we have a house in San Gabriel, so we could put it in there and then shower in.
Systems that I told you about on the outside of the house, you don't put any filter in the shower head. You don't need to. It's already done.
Now, we've got one of those tanks that is tankless. Do we put those on before it hits the tankless, I guess?
You would want to do it after it leaves the tank because it's going to pick up a lot of toxins in the tank.
But then that's only the hot water going through, isn't it?
Oh, you mean just the hot water? Oh, then you want to put it in before it goes into there. I didn't know you were talking about a hot water tank. I thought you were talking about a big outdoor tank.
No, they're tankless. It runs through coils of water and it gets heated and goes right to our taps.
It's not enough.
Okay, so.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. Wonder what you thought about the seaweed juice, not as a food fad, but like big problem for like sailors out at sea is, they just drink water and lack of fresh vegetables or anything. And I was thinking, would seaweed juice be a half decent diet? Let's say you combined it with fish.
Well, you're going to have you'd have to rinse it some way to get some of the salt off of it. Mm-hmm. Because if you juice it with the salt water on the outside, it's going to be concentrated in salt.
Okay. So you could use your fresh water that you carry.
Well, what you do on a ship is you fill big barrels up with your seawater, and after 12 days, it alters it. Most of the sodium and salts go down to the bottom, so then you cut off the top, and you can go all the way down to 1/5 of the water. Then you have to dump that and put all new water in again.
Oh, okay.
And you just take that water to rinse the sea vegetation and then juice it.
And that'd be a halfway decent replacement for like your veg juice?
It would be more concentrated, so you'd have to drink less.
Oh, okay. And if that and your diet of fish and veg juice, would that be a half decent diet? Be okay?
Yeah, I've done it. I've lived on just fish for 30 days.
Yeah.
Nothing but fish.
Wow. Nothing. You didn't drink anything?
Nothing. Just had fish.
Enough moisture in the fish? Really?
Well, when you get it fresh off the boats in Philippines, incredible.
Nothing like that. What kind of fish did they get there?
Well, I go for mainly the tuna. You know when it's $5 a kilo? It's $5 for 2.5 pounds. Pretty incredible. Right off the boats.
So
Caught that day.
I actually do have a question. I remember.
Okay.
Okay, so the lids on the canning jars that you recommend, they're lined with BPA. And I just wondered
They're lined with a plastic, but not BPA in it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Now, the ones that I recommend are the ones with the white enamel.
What about
Now, they say, the people who sell the ball jar lids say that there's plastic on it. I've scraped them a dozen times, looked at it under a microscope, and I don't see anything but enamel. On the ones that are metal, they have the plastic on them, and it's scraped, and I can see it every time.
the ones that you get?
So
which
I think that the people who are just selling those ball products and Kerr products, now they're selling, the kind of same company selling both of them. You know, they don't know their butts from a hole in the ground. They don't want to bother with it. They're very uneducated people. They're not scientific. So don't take their word for it.
So which one?
I'm confused.
The one with the white inside.
What about the inside?
Yeah.
Coconut
Like this.
cream. The coconut cream comes up with
They have a white enamel. They also have the two-part ones. As long as it's white enamel. If it's regular gold-looking or white-looking, then they're coated with a plastic.
They have that in the coconut cream or something. The big ones are all the same.
Pardon?
I haven't seen the big ones look like that. The big.
You mean one piece?
Well, the larger head jars, not the ones you use for.
Well, they have those white ones at supermarkets if you want to go get some.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
For the larger?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, okay.
I have scads of them. I don't use anything but.
Okay, because I haven't seen it. The larger ones I have are all the other kinds.
Well, then just go to your supermarket and get. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, but there's the ones that have the yellow.
Oh, they have the white.
Like the brown, it's brown on the outside.
So that one's okay.
And it's.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, no, there's another one, the smaller one.
So that one's okay?
The brown on the outside.
Yeah, brown ones are okay too. That's
Okay, yeah, that was my question.
Sorry.
Okay, back there.
It's just not all white. That's a little.
Yes, I was going to ask you about colitis.
Uh-huh.
My wife has colitis and she wants to find out. I mean, you told me before the cabbage juice and all that. She's ready to lose quite a bit.
Cabbage juice is the only thing that stop the bleeding, but she can't drink alcohol. Nothing too fermented. Kefir, she has to have it fresh kefir. She's going to have fresh kefir. But the milk should never be cold. Should be warm if she's going to drink it. And eat cucumber.
What's that for?
Eat cucumber.
Oh,
for colitis.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, colitis. Yeah. Lots of eggs. Lots of raw eggs. Yeah, or in milkshakes, if you won't eat a lot of eggs by themselves, then milkshakes are second best. Things that aren't difficult to digest, that are more liquid than solid, except for the cucumber.
Mike, you had me seen before. 2 nights ago, he got some swelling in his knee, and said it felt like it was food inside. And Mom wrapped some cabbage around there, and it's gotten better.
You just put a hot water bottle on it at night.
He tried to avoid a hernia surgery for years. That happened done in the middle of December. Everything was perfect. He healed 100% right away, but he also got sick with all the sickness that was going around, so his body's been down. So, anything you recommend?
Well, hot water bottles for any discomfort, of course. and to help perspire whenever you have a cold or a flu, you need to throw off those toxins. You need to perspire them. So take hot baths or sleep with your hot water bottles if you can. If you can't take hot baths, or if you don't have a bathtub, you only have a shower.
He does a hot bath and
Okay, good. Yeah. Then he could have on page 147 of my recipe book, the cold and flu regime, which is mainly just one smoothie a day and at least one milkshake a day. No meat, unless you have maybe fish or chicken. But you mainly need to eat the dairy and eggs and honey and cream during colds and flus.
I also got really sick and I had these.
I can see.
I had these canker sores all over my tongue and my lips cracked, and it was just like horrendous.
Were you taking a lot of olive oil?
No.
Were you taking any other oils?
Seeds? No. I mean, I had olive oil maybe like once or twice a week. That's about it.
Maybe too much for you. I wouldn't eat any pressed oils in your situation.
How about seeds?
Pardon?
How about seeds?
Cheese?
Seeds. Like
Seeds?
nuts.
No seed oil. No seeds. Too hard to digest.
In a situation that's already happened, what's
Yeah.
the best thing to do?
Aloe vera. Take the leaf of an aloe vera and scoop out about half a cup of that gel a day until all the sores are gone.
So I'm just going to be coating it throughout the day. Or eat.
Yeah, you're going to eat half a cup a day. So if you want to do it a tablespoon at a time throughout the day, 5, 6, 7 times a day, that's fine.
Is there a difference between olive oil and flax oil?
No, they're both highly acidic and they're just 90% solvent reactive. And for somebody who's very thin, shouldn't be eating oils. Ever. Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah. Ron, person who uses orange juice, just so good. I've heard that it can cause arthritis. Is that
It
true?
can cause a lot of deep fat problems.
How do you manage it? What's it for?
I say in my book, no fruit juices. At all. So, eat the whole orange. You get all the bioflavonoids and the oils that are esters that are in that. When you have the juice, very little of them. So you don't digest it properly. It's the only way to do it. I mean, you can balance it if you want to do that, but you have to eat cheese before you have the orange juice, and you have to have cream with the orange juice or right before the orange juice. You need the cheese and the cream if you're not going to have the orange juice with cream.
You eat the orange in the skin or
Well, if he's having the juice, I say eat the whole thing, not the rind, of course. And some of the white, flesh in there is good because that's where your concentration of bioflavonoids are.
You want to eat it with something, though. You want to eat it an orange with something.
Well, I always say eat fat with your fruit, no matter what it is. Always eat a fat with it. If you're drinking a juice, then you better have cheese. When you have fruit by itself, it'll go in and rip the fat out of your blood. That means your whole body's not going to be protected for about 2 hours.
Does that hold for grapefruit as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so...
I always say have fruit before any fruit. I mean, fat with any fruit, period.
They don't have
Unless you've eaten a lot of fat and cheese beforehand. Then eat the fruit because you've had the cheese and the butter with it. I mean, the cheese and the fat with it.
So, and then not coconut cream alone, there should be also...
Never eat coconut cream alone. Always have it with some other animal fat, either butter or cream. And it can be half the amount of animal fat to coconut cream. Just something to protect your tissue, your cells.
Well, if we're
put it in the shake?
Orange, for example, if you wanted to juice the whole orange and drink the whole orange, is that okay too? Or
No, not for you, absolutely not. He's got some weight on him. He can get away with it if he's eating cheese and cream with it. You an absolute no-no. You eat the cheese and cream and the whole orange too.
Coconut oil, can you use it in the shake and it's okay?
Coconut oil is even more concentrated. It's just like any other fat. It's not as acidic, but it's 90% solvent reactive. So it will cause heavy detoxification. It will cause heavy dryness in the skin. All oils, pressed oils, will cause skin dryness.
The cream doesn't? The coconut cream?
Coconut cream can cause a little, but I'm telling you also eat a little bit of raw fat with it, animal fat. Not just have the coconut cream alone. If people are having like olive oil, I say, then make, like a mayonnaise with lots of butter and a little olive oil. Let's say 3 tablespoons of butter to 1 olive oil, and that's about the ratio you can get away with.
Avocado can consider, you can have a fat with an orange.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eggs, you should stay away from with an orange?
Unless you're having an orange Julius with your cream. Orange Julius is cream. Orange juice used to be ice cream and orange juice. Ice cream was made with eggs and dairy and cream. Okay, so eggs, dairy, and cream, and honey, of course, the sweetener. And then an egg with it. Orange with it. Then you've got orange Julius, and that's fine.
Can you put the coconut cream on your shake and that's okay?
But only a little. When somebody puts it in a shake, I tell them to use no more than a teaspoon normally for somebody your size. If they're bigger, a tablespoon. Like Jim could use a tablespoon in his shakes if he wanted to use coconut cream in a shake. But I don't normally recommend that because if you're having 1 fruit a day with your coconut cream, you already have a detoxifying meal of the day. You want to do as much healing as you want to do, or more healing and stabilization than you do cleansing.
If we had an avocado today, is it okay to have a pomegranate, a few pieces of that?
Yeah. Avocado and fruit go together fine. I will still, when I eat it, I will still have a little bit of butter. Even though I have avocado, I'll still have a little butter.
There's no butter here today.
Well, today won't happen, but if you do it on a regular basis.
Bring your own butter, Kathy.
You know what it said at the bottom of the advertisement? Okay, everybody's got a question. What time is it?
10 to.
Do you have 10 minutes yet?
I have a question.
So let's do it by number. Okay, I'm going to pick a number from 1 to 25. Have it in your head, and you're going to have to be honest with this one. Okay. Anybody come up with 17?
I did. I swear.
3 people. Okay, so these 3 people are going to give questions.
Wow.
You're not usually a winner? Wait a minute, you're on a good diet, so you're a winner.
Okay, well, so how about grapefruit juice with cream stirred into it?
That's fine, as long as you have a little cheese first. Okay? You didn't have 17. These 2 had 17. Oh, you're going to give it... Okay, Mark.
What about for brain tumors or gliomas? Since you have the blood-brain barrier, what would be different with that diet compared to...
You mean to get rid of a tumor in the brain? I would eat pineapple with a little bit of a mixture of a tomato sauce that has a little bit of either flax oil or olive oil in it. So don't make the sauce in my recipe book, which is like 2 ounces of olive oil. You can only do that once a week. But people who have brain tumors need a small amount. So let's say you made a sauce with 2 tablespoons, and this would last for 4 days over 8 meat meals. So you'd have the tomato, about, let's say, half a cup of tomato, a tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of olive oil or flax oil, or 1 of each, and then about a teaspoon of honey, and about 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of cream, and then onion, garlic, whatever else you want in it. And then have, maybe 3 tablespoons on that with a meat meal. And also the sport drink will be very good to help remove brain tumors, to assist it.
I met somebody that was diagnosed, so hoping he's willing to listen.
You never know. Give them the book. That's what I say. Don't ever try to talk anybody to it. Give them my We Want to Live book. It seduces people into opening their minds at least. Yeah, so, okay, your question.
Yeah, I've gotten into the bad habit of just eating meat right after opening the package, and more I'm tasting the plastic.
I always take the meat and I scrape it with a paring knife. Yeah, no serrated edge, and I will scrape it on all sides. Even when I got it, one side on my hand with plastic on it, I will rinse that hand before I flop it over.
Yeah. So no
and scrape that.
Anything else?
Pardon?
No rinsing it out?
No, because you wash it into the meat.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll wash right into the meat, deeper into it. Then you're stuck with it. Okay? I think we got a 10-minute late start, right? As far as the Q&A. So I'm going to pick another number. And, okay, everybody got a number? 20. No 20s. We got 120. Okay, so let's take that one first.
Sometimes when I buy coconut cream, it looks like there's coconut oil in it too. Is that possible?
Coconut cream always has 7 to 8% coconut oil.
Okay.
So remember that all vegetables, all coconuts have 7 to 8% oil in them. If you take, let's say you're juicing wheatgrass juice or comfrey or any of those, if you let it ferment and separate, you're going to have 7 to 8% oil in that.
Oh, sometimes it also has coconut water to separate, doesn't it?
No, it's coconut oil and water. Yeah.
So that's why you have us mix it or, keep it mixed.
Or if you don't, then you need to scoop out some and let a little bit of the water and oil. But you'll see when you pour that off, you're going to have a stream of oil along with that water. But it's usually for coconuts about 7 to 8%. Some vegetables, if the soil's not full of bacteria, they only have 4 to 5% oil esters in them. Okay? Pick another number. 1 to 25. 12. That's too early. You get another one? Okay.
I can give my husband.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I got I think it was German measles, and it's to cause sort of warts or raised bumps, and it all went down my left side, up from here all the way down. I think, I don't know if it's because of I was born in Ireland, so I was born in Ireland, so they give you inoculations, and I'm thinking it might be from
Always.
those things.
You can never get warts or moles anything from nature unless you work in a coal mine or near a coal mine or you burn coal in your house. Always it's from medication. Any warts, any hardness of the skin. Always from injectable medication.
How can I deal with that? Is it
Well, like I say, you put pineapple on the skin. They'll break those hardened tumors down. Remember, any growth on the skin, whether it's a mole, a wart, is always a tumor. Just not malignant.
Can I just ask you one thing? I've got one actinic keratosis, and I can't get it healed up. It's like beginning cancer, they say.
You use the pineapple on it. Every 3 days for that. After about a week, then it's every 4 days. And you put butter and the bone marrow on it.
Oh, it's the same.
It usually resolves in 10 days. Yes, Jim.
If you go swimming in a pool, it's a common pool, not a private pool. Theoretically, you're supposed to smear coconut oil on your skin, right?
Well, it's some kind of oil. Maybe coconut, so you don't smell like an olive oil. You don't smell like a dirty Italian.
But doesn't that just...
I've got nothing against Italians.
Doesn't that wear off right away? I mean, you go in and you
No, it does not. Oil is very hard to get. Just keep pouring water over your skin with oil on it and see. You're still going to be oily. You stay in there an hour in a heavy chlorinated pool, and it's going to work it off in an hour. Then you put it on again. But you can smell whether a pool is highly chlorinated. And when I want to go into a pool, like if I go to a hotel, I'll go in the middle of the night and turn the chlorinator off. And then I'll throw, well, I know where they keep them in the pool room. So, if it's got a lock on it, I'm good at picking locks, so I'll pick it. And I'll get in. And I'll turn the chlorinator off, and I'll put, sometimes 2 cups of vinegar in the water that night. And I make sure that they don't really notice that it's turned off. And it usually takes them 2 or 3 days because your pool man's not there every day. They may be cleaning it, but they're not changing and adding chlorine. I'll see what the chlorine level is on the thing that adds it to, and I'll turn that off too. If it's low, then I know they're going to check it soon. So I may have to do it the next night too, turn it off. Or turn it on, let them add it, and then turn it off again. So I just have to watch it. I only get, in all the years of traveling going to hotels, I only got one person to turn their chlorinator off while I was in the hotel. And then after 6 days, their pool was full of algae. So that chlorination went right on. But,
are there still chlorine vapors, though?
Yeah, that chloroform is very bad. That's why so many swimmers have asthma, emphysema, and earaches. Because that chloroform just damages all kinds of nerve tissue.
What about those new salt pools that they're doing? Those are okay or no?
Yeah, those are okay. What they do is you put salt, sea salt, in the pool, and then as it passes this electrical chlorinator, this electrical charge that is a certain charge at a certain voltage, at a certain wattage, and certain kinds of angles, changes the salt into a chlorine that has no chloroform vapor. But most of these people still puts too much frickin' salt in there, so it tastes like you're in the ocean instead of in a pool. And you don't need to use that much, especially if you've got a sand filter. It's very little. And those are okay. Okay, what time is it? 10 after?
It's 3:59.
Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Oh. Well, now we have another 10 minutes. I thought it was just 10 of before. People need to pick a number. Okay, pick another number. All right, 8. 1. Nobody else got 8? Okay, ask your question.
I'm just wondering what, there's something in particular that you should eat for receding gums.
Now, receding gums are all because the brain is dumping out the gums. To heal those gums, you need to control the amount of toxicity that flows down and deteriorates the gums. If you have any kind of plastic in your mouth, if it's the wrong kind of plastic, that will deteriorate gums till they won't recover. Usually the glue they use for a temporary cap, if it gets on your skin, you make sure that that's cleaned off immediately. And I mean, you take a toothbrush and some clay and some coconut cream and a tiny bit of vinegar in the dentist's office with you, and you rinse it off immediately, because that will just deteriorate a gum and it will not grow back. It damages the genetics in it. So, different depends on what's caused it, and of course you can brush to keep the heavy metals from sitting on the tooth. Because when you get plaque on your teeth, that's your body using like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium to bind with heavy metals. So that's trying to harness it. But because those contaminants were cauterized at one time and so toxic, they can eat right through that plaque right into the dentine and still cause a problem, or into the gum and cause a problem. So you need to brush every day, with maybe a little coconut cream and Terramin clay, just to make sure the plaque is off, and then your gums will be protected. And of course, eating cheese and honey together after a meat meal, about 35 minutes after a meat meal, helps rebuild the mineral level. Because usually a low mineral level won't allow the gums to heal.
Will brushing with that formula remove old plaque, hardened plaque?
Well, like I said in one of the emails in the last year and a half, one of the newsletters, you can use the heavy vinegar with the sparkling mineral water, the clay, and the coconut cream and lemon to clean your tooth, but only once every 10 days because it will break the enamel, even that mixture. So you only brush with it once every 10 days. And it will eat that plaque. It will dissolve old plaque.
Does the plastic on a retainer harm your mouth?
Depends on what plastic they use.
How do you know?
If it causes your tongue to be dry and burn, you're very irritated that day. If you eat a piece of pineapple and it burns through your tongue, it's likely a bad plastic. All right, I'm going to pick another number. 7. Okay, 2. All right.
A big filling just fell out of a molar, and I'm going to go to the dentist. Can I tell him what kind of new? Hopefully, he's going to replace it with a new filling. Can I tell him what kind of?
Porcelain inlay is always your best.
Porcelain inlay.
Yeah. Second best would be a composite that's biocompatible with your system. Hey, Roger?
I have a friend that has a bone spurs in her back. And is there any cure for that? Or
pineapple rubbed on the back, the spine, about once every 5 days. 4 days might be okay, but it may cause some blisters on her spine. Bone spurs, are mineral buildups where magnetic minerals like lead and some tin will collect there, and it causes a lot of other calcium deposits and other mineral deposits to build around it, so it doesn't damage the spinal cord. Or usually they'll get it on the feet and the spinal cord are main places where bone spurs grow, and that's where you have a lot of heavy metals in the spinal cord and the feet. Okay, we can still go here for a few more minutes. Okay, another number, 3. Got 2 here. All right.
You
go ahead with yours.
Okay. I have a clarification question. We've been dialoguing a little bit. What I want to find out is, as you know, I passed another what they call kidney stone, and
those are jewels. Why would you want to give her?
No. I want to explain it for myself so that I'm not in the middle of nowhere next time this happens.
They're not finding them in the kidneys. So I think kidney stone must be a misnomer. One of the people thinks that it's actually things that are floating around the blood that need to come out of my system, and they're filtered by the kidneys, and that's when they start coming out. So there'll be big ones and little ones, and sometimes there's one that's just a little too big. Okay?
That's always what happens.
Okay, so that's what it is. It's in the blood. Okay, so he was correct about that. So,
well, let me put it this way. It could be in the blood, it could be in the neurological fluid, or it could be in the lymph.
Okay, so it's in some fluid. It's in one of the fluids, right? Yes. When he said blood, he actually meant all that. But so anyway, then the other thing I want to clarify is, one of my friends told me that you can do, for women it's hard. You can't filter and get them. You can't catch them. It's really hard. You can, but it's harder. And I have tried to filter and catch it and have not succeeded. So one of the things he said that you can do is just when you're trying to pass the kidney stone, and when you think you're close, then just collect all the urine for like 24 hours afterwards and see if there are particles and things that are in the urine, and see if you can find a way to analyze them. I don't know what you...
Doesn't make any difference. I've had them analyzed hundreds of times.
So it doesn't matter what they are.
Doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll let my urine sit, and I rarely ever pee in the toilet because that's good nitrogen. So I put it on the lawn, on the plants, all outdoors. Nothing indoors. You can't do that indoors.
I don't have that option.
You don't? Well, anyway, so I always collect my urine. And there'll be periods, one time I went 2 years when every time I peed, there were crystals in it. Either they were actual crystals as I peed, or they collected and became crystallized within a day or two, the urine. So it all depends on what you're discarding. And if you've eaten tin can, food from tin cans, you're going to have magnetic minerals in there. Because part of keeping the molten metals together when they make tin, you've got magnetic properties in there. So when they collect in the kidney or bladder, they will make stones.
So when I do a urine sample now and give it them, is there something specific I should ask them to check for when I just go to the doctor? No. Just let it go.
Yeah. Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing you can do to lower the magnetic ability is vinegar. And then if you use too much, you'll demineralize your system.
We've already, tried it. Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to balance that out right now. And I'm doing all the other minerals.
1 tablespoon in your, 1 tablespoon a day is plenty.
Well, you have me even on less. You have me on 1/4 teaspoon.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Because of my osteoporosis.
Right. Because you have osteoporosis.
Yeah, so that's the problem. You have to know what you end up at. Okay, but I just wanted to find out more about what was happening with those kidneys.
No, that's a good thing as long as they don't make big stones like one was in me this big.
So I know that, and you just can't predict it. So it's just pot luck.
Yeah, but usually it won't happen as long as you're having a 1/4 teaspoon of vinegar a day. You're not going to develop a big one. You're going to pass them.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
May sting and hurt for a few minutes, but as it's passing.
Well, that's nothing compared to what I've experienced. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you have.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, there's that bill that's hitting on the food market at
S510 is passed.
It's passed.
They stuck it in a bill about junk cars and passed it. They were going to pass it regardless. All the whole front that somebody was working against it was all bullshit because they didn't, in the final hour, they could have still contested it, but they wanted that bill through. So now the FDA has $2.4 billion now a year to even hassle us more about our farmers, small farmers. So, the only thing that's going to save us is my lease contracts with farmers.
What about the Tester-Hagen amendment that was supposed to exempt small farmers from certain penalties or punishments?
Okay, that's $500,000. Or you know how little $500,000 for a farm is?
That's gross.
$500,000 gross. That's it. a farm has to make almost, 700,000, small farm, a small 10-acre farm, had better pull in 750,000 a year just to be okay. So that was a bullshit amendment. That'll take care of your little farmer who has 3 cows and is servicing, 10 neighbors, and that's it.
They have to make more than 500,000 to be exempt, is what you're
No, they have to make less than 500,000 to be exempt.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
basically, they're just
gross.
farming their own stuff with a couple of neighbors involved, and that's it.
But with my lease agreements, it still takes them out of commercial because FDA only has jurisdiction over commercial. So when I have my farmer's lease with Right to Choose Healthy Foods, Right to Choose Healthy Foods owns the animals and owns the land. Can own the whole farm. That way, whoever is a member of Right to Choose Healthy Foods in your different clubs are all protected. That you own that product. So there's no commerce involved. I don't know what's going to happen with Rawson because now Right to Choose Healthy Food isn't in it, and James doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground to be able to defend any farmer. So those farmers may go bankrupt if they get caught. But James doesn't care about other people, and I'm going to be harsh about it because he doesn't, or he would have owned up to this whole problem and taken care of it a long time ago when it came up. So, okay, and I encourage all of you to, if you want good eggs, like these eggs right here, you still get the chicken shit on them, and they're grown by good Amish farmers, and the chicken you can get, join Raw Healthy Co-op Club and pick up your food at 27th and in the Freeway 10 Freeway, every Saturday.
John, Al makes coconut cream.
Yes, John does make coconut
Oh, and
cream now.
Aajonus, he said to call and said that he said that you should pick up the extra coconut cream, pick some up for free today. You want it?
I have plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry about that.
And so John has vegetables. He's only been in business for a very short time, but now he's got practically everything that you need. Eggs that are really good eggs.
Even fruit and vegetables now, they've got everything just about.
It's in Tahunga.
No, there's one that he's going to deliver here in Santa Monica at Cloverfield and the 10 Freeway, right there at the Arco station. The Arco station is renting the lot on Saturday from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So you order your food online, you pay for it. Already done. It'll already be packaged and ready for you. You go there and pick it up. Put it in your car and you're gone. There's no going around, well, is this available this week? Because if you order it ahead of time, you will have absolutely everything you want.
And the way you order is...
The only thing that they may not have is what I've ordered every week and never gotten is the blue cheese.
But what is the website so I can
Okay, the website is raw, that's R-A, healthyfoods.com. That's the website. R-A, healthyfoods, all one word, .com.
And the
That's their
foods is
website.
plural.
Foods is plural, and you order on the website. The cutoff is Sunday at 6.
Tonight at 6 o'clock.
Tonight, 6 o'clock. Sorry. So it's R.A. Healthy Foods.
Really, it's probably 8 o'clock tonight, but he likes people to believe they have to get on there by 6 o'clock.
No W.
Because he does the ordering Monday morning. Calls the farmer on Monday morning.
Is it a little bit more expensive? The following Saturday?
It's the following Saturday. You order on Sunday, you pick it up on Saturday.
Okay.
I've been doing it now for 4 weeks, and I'm so happy with my chicken and eggs. I've been eating nothing but good old chicken and lots of eggs.
Don't they get their chickens from other sources, or just they're raising their chickens on their own farm?
Oh, these are all just the Amish relatives.
Because I don't know why.
Aaron Miller.
Wait, 27 Amos.
Not Amos.
Amos is getting
Amos
him
is servicing
something.
Rawson.
Oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Absolutely.
Aajonus, do you know what the feed is for the eggs? What do they feed the chickens?
Well, they're feeding it barley that they grew, oats, and then the meat scraps.
No bugs or anything.
And when you say you
At this time of year, there are no
pay for it
bugs.
online, you pay for my credit card, you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is there any possibility they'll be offering, well, like chicken thighs as opposed to a whole chicken?
No, only a whole chicken right now. He just sent me, I asked him, we've been experimenting, I said, cut some chicken and give me, some legs and breasts in whey. Pre-digesting it whey instead of lemon. So I just received my first batch. I'm going to try it tomorrow, so I'll let you know how it works. So if that is possible, we will be making chicken that way.
Oh, so
Pre-digested
And he
in
has
whey.
a list online of what you can order?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can marinate chicken in whey instead of lemon?
Yeah, in whey. Yeah. Just takes longer. Lemon, it's ready in 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Whey, it'll take a week.
Oh, okay. So we have to wait a week for it.
Does whey age? I mean, you keep it in your fridge for a month or something?
Yeah, it'll turn into vinegar in about 6 months.
I see. So it's best to use fresh.
Unless you like it'll break it down quicker like lemon juice if it's aged. It's slightly vinegarish.
Do you have a CD out?
I have a DVD set.
I was going to say that. Anybody that doesn't have the DVD set, there's a few here where the packaging was a little bit damaged on the shrink wrap, so they're a little cheaper. I'll get them for you. I got them right here. Just see me when they're.
Normally it's $260 for the set, selling for $160 right now.
And also anybody that doesn't have both the books, see me, because I got the books here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.